form to make an effort to love, that's not love. It's a humane thing, whereas it's not even supposed to be a damn thought. You're supposed to do a certain amount of things. And you know when you get no on a motherfucker, too.
That's right.
See what I'm saying?
That's right.
You know when you get no on somebody. So we're talking about the humane thing. Now, so when it says the study of the effect of magic in here, they got a section in here talking about the subconscious. This guy named is Philip Cooper. There's a section, Philip Cooper. It's called The Magician. And see, the book came out in '94, but I slept on the book for a while. You know, I got so much of those. And when I opened the book up one day, and he said, listen, he said that everything around you is based on your subconscious. You cannot do anything not unless you convince your subconscious that it's real. So you can tell yourself all the hell, oh, it's real. But deep in your subconscious, you still thinking on the other damn way. And it ain't going right for me because you ain't convinced your subconscious. That's right. So they say your subconscious is a powerhouse to create anything you want. But first you have to convince it real. He said the problem is we got so many things that's called facts that somebody has taught us what fact was ever since we was a child. Your school you went to, the church you went to, and this type of thing. And usually 98% of the time all that shit is wrong, especially in this society. To keep it afloat, you can't have real facts. So on the other hand, what it was talking about here is you got to get that whole blueprint out and all just to even understand what it was. So that's why I said about the Star Wars trilogy. Even when Yoda, he told him his spaceship had sunk into the ocean, into the little swamp. And Yoda said, you can get it out, and he was trying to put it out with his mind. He said, I can't do it. It's too big. And Yoda said, size matters not. And then he said, I can't do it. He said, you want the impossible. And little Yoda, this big, closed his eyes and lifted the whole thing up, the ship up. And he said, I don't believe it. And Yoda said, that's why you failed. So we're talking about the subconscious. This is a very good book on that particular part, based on that. You can't get it until your mind believes it. It's just like the weight thing with a lot of women have to battle. Any fool knows that as long as you see your ass fat, you can drink water, and it will just like you might well eat 4 pounds of fat back. Because all it is it's a mind thing. If you see yourself fat, you're going to be fat. And what happens was, when a woman gets past a certain weight, she starts seeing herself that. So the first thing they do in self-help class, they tell you to take a picture, find the baddest woman you can find in the damn Essence magazine, cut her face off and put your head on it, and try to visualize the body that you want. See what I'm saying? Because the way you see yourself is the way that is. You see, same concept as this, and this is the stationing concept that they do with children. What they do with children, with the conspiracy to destroy black boys. Well, this is the thing, it's called the placing thing. They place you in what things. So what they'll do is this. In the first wave, they'll say, well, we got 100 black children in this section alone, so we're going to take 8 of them and put them in the high section. We're going to take the other ones and put them in the dumb section. And the 8 ones, that they got the same IQ, them same 8 ones will excel. Because somebody told them they were smart. And the other ones, they told you was dumb, so you ain't expected to do nothing. And the 8 ones, I got a friend, he said, man, I was smart. He said, if they put me in the high section, I guess you might come in, and it's like the way you look. It's some fucked up stuff.
Yes, it is.
It's like the way you look. You ain't too black, or if you are real dark skin, you might don't shine.
Right.
Fuck that shit on the crack. You see, it might be a certain feature. You might be real dark skinned. You know, that's pretty black because she got the alkaline nose.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
She's blacker than 100 men, but she got the alkaline nose. Right. You know what I'm saying? So you don't have the prototypical West African feature. They'll stop your ass based on that because they're also trying to create false deception of you worldwide. So everybody that's prototypical West African, they're going to have the same mentality based on where they're going to stack your ass up. And they do that shit in 1st and 2nd grade. That's right. So they'll say, so if they take the same people and say, you put my boy said, you know, I didn't know I was dumb. Nobody never told me I was dumb, so automatically this did the shit. And that's 100% of everybody who entered into that class, including half of some retarded people. You could go use that thing, and they'll say, well, I'm smart. It's nothing no more than psyching yourself out, but they put it in the subconscious. You see what I'm saying? Now, going back to what I'm trying to say is this. Your body now will override what it don't want to do at this particular time because it might not fit the energy in which your body is in. Mm-hmm. Your body.
Good ice. Okay, we're back.
Huh? Are we back? Hold on 1 minute. Cut the camera off 1 minute. Y'all bear with me 1 minute. Y'all all right? Hold on 1 minute. Okay, you take back on? Okay. And what I was talking about before we left, I was talking about there's certain energy. Just as the earth has a birthday every 26,000 years, the black man and black woman have a birthday every 26,000 years, which is also bears witness by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as well as Blavatsky and Jeremiah. And on a circle of 26,000 years, the Jeremiah called the world's great year, the world's great year. So now, at the end of the cycle of the world, 26,000 years, the energy, when you have a birthday and the energy on the earth wants to do a certain thing, since we are the original black man and black woman of the earth, our energy want to do the same damn thing in according to the cycle. Mm-hmm. So if your mind is in 1970, you know what I'm saying, and your body and the spirit that's dormant in you is in the damn 1990s and stuff, no matter what you do with that kind of context, your soul will say, no, I don't want to do that shit. It's the same, going back to the same science of when you was making a decision and the first one you made, the first decision you made was the right one, but you decided to do something else, and it messed up, and you said, well, I started to do that. You know? And it's just like when I was in Harrisburg. They had this old tape thing, and the spirit told me, that VCR gonna mess up. Tell them to use the other one. But I said, no, I ain't gonna even mess with the thing. And they used the one, and I didn't tell them, because the spirit told me, it always knows. And I didn't tell them, and when it came out, it had a hum. You see what I'm saying? So it always tells you, so what it is now at this particular time, you must tap into the energy on what your body, what your soul wants it to do. So your soul might not want you to be a millionaire, because it ain't your time for that. Your soul might not want you, which is a burden off of you, because you're only doing some shit to please some other nigga in the first damn place. You see what I'm saying? So that's the way that goes. Now, the section of Jeremiah's book called the Heru of the Winged Disc. It was talking about Horus on both horizons, and that's what represents the actual Sphinx on both horizons. So now we also understand that anything that go down on the physical realm, if we see this horrible, there's always a spiritual connotation that also happens too. So the whole thing went down with Tupac and Biggie Smalls. That was also that East Coast, West Coast thing was also representing Horus on both horizons. Okay. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? As Elijah Muhammad says that the number 19 represents Allah on both horizons. And we also know that number 19 is also a symbol of the Sphinx. So the main key to the message of the Nation of Islam, and one of the main keys was Sister Tainetta Muhammad, which was the information that was given to her on the information based on what Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave her was the number 19. And the number 19 is the number of the Sphinx, which is also talking about the both horizons. So we had a guy down the East Coast and a guy down the West Coast. So we also know that also, too, that the crazy stuff went on, but on the other hand, those are spiritual signs also that also represent that number 19. Very key that you understand that in this particular time. Now, I don't know if I mentioned the last time I was here that when I was in Baltimore about a guy stepped to me and told me that, And I think I did mention it, that when people died when the guys was dying around D.C. in the early 90s and late 80s, remember D.C. they was killing people up in D.C., Washington, D.C. And he said that he met one of the brothers that worked for John Hopkins, and that the guy was on his way to John Hopkins on like Sunday morning, and he said, "Where you going?" He said, "I'm going to John Hopkins." He said, "What happened?" He said, "Because every Friday night, every Saturday night, during the weekend, every black homicide victim, John Hopkins collects the pineal glands and they ship them to John Hopkins." You see what I'm saying? Is it working? It's working. Yeah, so during the weekend, every weekend, after somebody dies, they go in and take the pineal gland out of them and ship them to John Hopkins. And very, very key on how that actually happens. And I think it's got something to do with the opening of the mouth ceremony, which we're going to get into in a few minutes. Okay. But it also has something to do with, does everybody have a hole? If you take your tongue and double it back, and you feel a hole up in here, right up under your nose, up under your tongue. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Does everybody have that? Yeah. If you took your tongue and put it back in your mouth, and you feel a hole at the top of your roof of your mouth. It's like you can feel the roof, and then if you go on back, you can feel a hole up there. Does everybody feel that? You just feel like it's going up in your head. They're saying that the Europeans don't have that, which means they don't have the pineal area. You see, is it hollow up there? They're saying that has something to do with the opening of the mouth ceremony. It's got something to do with the pineal gland, and the white boy don't have that. That's all covered over. You see what I'm saying? That's all covered over. As a matter of fact, a lot of times you see the pictures, you don't even see the opening of his mouth till you see the palate part. So they're saying that the white boy don't even have that particular part. So what the key is they don't have to go into the brain. They can go up into the mouth and get the pineal area up through the nose, which also bears witness to that show that came on X-Files last fall. You still got that? Yeah. The one that got the guy was sucking the melanin out of the people, the boy from Africa. Yeah. So I think it has a lot to do with that one. It has a lot to do with that one also. So let's see what else we got going now. Gaddafi and them have this ritual over in white Arabia that when a child has problems, either sick or has a discipline problem, they always cut him and let out some blood because they said that white Arabian, that savage Arab, has black blood in him. So therefore, that's what's making him wrong. They blame all the ills on society based on black blood. Now the key is this is some thing that Gaddafi and all them believe in. You see what I'm saying? So there ain't really no alliance is going on between him and Farrakhan and somebody giving somebody damn near close to $1 billion. Gaddafi is an invention of the state of the United States of America. Him and damn Saddam Hussein. So therefore that whole thing is all government run. It's all government run. You see what I'm saying? That whole thing is government run. You see. So we need to really check into that particular part. Anytime Farrakhan saying the man giving him money, I'm telling you, some shit is rotten in the cotton with that. That's what I'm saying. Now the key is it's already confirmed because they mentioned it again that Ben Chambers is going to take over. Yeah, that's right. Going to take over. Now that's kind of messed up to say that they got all these ministers up in there for all years, and all of a sudden this nigga gonna come from the Baptist church. And walk right up in that mud and all. But see, the reason why I know he's going to take over is the simple fact when did you ever go and get the Wall Street Journal article and then I Xeroxed it for you? When they had the article where Farrakhan was in Wall Street Journal. And in at the bottom they said that he was going to take over Ben Chambers because they put the article out the day after he converted to Islam. And they said that he's going to take over the Nation of Islam. And they said that Farrakhan was still suffering from colon cancer. So my point is this here. The Wall Street Journal is not in the habit of making lies up. Well, let's put it this way. They make up lies, but they're not in the habit of making the lies up that they can't cover their ass when they get sued. That's what I'm saying. All the crackers lie all the time. But I'm saying when they say some shit, they already know what time it is. So when they said that Ben Chavis was going to take over the Nation of Islam, the day after he became Muslim, that's a strategic move because they're orchestrating the whole shit, the government and all that. You see what I'm saying? And they're making it they're bringing the Nation of Islam back into the damn Trinity broadcast type shit. So they're going to be along with all the other troops. Because the reason why I know that is because last month, Farrakhan hooked up with Joseph Lowry, who is over SCLC. They had a conference together.
And they had on the news.
Get it out. They had on 60
to cover the whole thing.
Now wait a minute. Do you understand that? You know Joseph Lowry, that's SCLC, that's Martin Luther King thing. That's Southern Baptist. That ain't nothing but Southern Baptist, straight up hog, maul eating, preacher style. You see? So for Farrakhan to I wouldn't even get on the stage with that shit. But even my man Cornel West said, this is what Cornel West said. He said, Malcolm did the change when he went to Mecca with that bullshit. Malcolm had gone to Mecca, what, 2 times before? You know what I'm saying? And Malcolm really didn't say that. Malcolm made an observation. Maybe this cracker might have a chance. And he actually wasn't even thinking that. You know, that's just a thing you might say just for good PR work. Maybe your ass got a chance. You know what I'm saying? That's one of those type things, and they blew it out of proportion. But my point was, the guy said Malcolm made the change from his bigotry or whatever, you know, based on Mecca. He said, I'm seeing, just Cornel West said, and I'm seeing now that the teachers of Honorable Elijah Muhammad, now Farrakhan has transcended that. And Farrakhan's sitting right up that motherfucker, not saying a word, smiling and shit.
The fact is, he never understood it himself.
Right.
He still don't understand.
No, right. So he's sitting up there, and they were saying that basically, this is a reunion for the coming home of Farrakhan. He is out of the other thing. He is now back with the ministry. And guess what this man did? He sat there, and his whole thing that came out his mouth was a series of Bible verses. It was all based on the Bible, and it was like he was in his preacher's mode. Farrakhan, he was a series of Bible verses. And he made it so comfortable that hell, you could have doggone Pat Robertson or doggone Oral Roberts or Billy Graham sitting beside it. It wouldn't have made no difference. That's how comfortable he made it. And I say, wait, they're getting ready to turn the whole Nation of Islam shit into a Christian ministry. But it bears witness because I got it on tape. I can get you the tape. I said it in a series of tapes in the fall of '94. I was in New York City, and I didn't understand what happened. I was in New York City, called up this psychic sister from Jamaica, and she was talking to me, and all of a sudden, somebody interrupted her, and she said, wait a minute, she said, Elijah Muhammad want to talk to you. And he came in, and he said, I'm upset that they have become Christianized. The Nation of Islam has become Christian. That was in '94. They have become Christianized. And at that time, I thought they meant, well, you know, they're running this shit like the church. He said, but I see what he was talking about. So they're talking a certain way in prophecy till now when it come out, you see what was going on. He said, no, they have become Christianized. And what he was saying was they're getting ready to make that whole thing into a Southern Baptist type of Islamic type of thing, you know what I'm saying? Like Jews for Jesus and all kind of shit. You know? So they get ready to hook that all up, and Ben Chavis is the one that's going to bridge that whole gap and that whole 9 yard and stuff, because Farrakhan was the agent from setting himself on up.
It's plain.
Plain. And so that's what the deal is.
The word delighted means delegate. What essentially means same as the son. Jesse Jackson was delegated. He's a paid agent to get Farrakhan paid, and he did the job.
Right. Now, it's funny about that, because clearly in The Fall of America, he says that watch out for Jesse Jackson. He said Jesse Jackson is the person, and he said this in 71 or something. The book came out in 73. He said that Jesse Jackson will do anything to please the white man and his master. Now, why is it when he said in 73 and 94, 84, 11 years later, you embracing this man? See, this thing is all hooked up a certain way.
It's also prophecy in the nation that why do we take Jerusalem from the devil? because one of our righteous brothers who are buried there, they used the name to shield their religion. He said in Armand Muhammad on the spaceship. He fulfilled that prophecy.
Who,
Farrakhan.
Right, oh.
Right. He used the name to shield their religion. Armand Muhammad is dead. He's trying to save his life. So he fulfilled the prophecy.
And see, the thing about it is, fulfill the prophecy, I'm going to tell you the honest God truth. This is what the Spirit told me. I can only go by what the Spirit told me. When we know that the movie Star Wars came out, that's why I say it's important that you rent the trilogy and study what the fuck they saying.
Mm-hmm.
The movie Star Wars came out in 1977. The new Nation of Islam under Farrakhan started back up in 1977. Mm-hmm. Now that Jibril Muhammad came in and said, look, man, he told us that in 93. He said, we just had damn suitcases full of money with me and Farrakhan in the damn room. And he claimed that they didn't sell out, but I'm telling you that them niggas took the money. Because I'm going to tell you something. Go back and look at Star Wars. Star Wars was about Darth Vader. They start telling the story about how Darth Vader was taken over by the dark side. He was with the right side, but he got taken over by the dark side. I'm telling you that the Darth Vader thing, 77, I'm telling you that's Farrakhan. I'm telling you, the Darth Vader was a good person fighting for the army. Then he was taken over by the dark side and seduced by the dark side, and they used him to kill off the real Jedi warriors. And I'm gonna tell you something, because the reason why I said it, because it was a brother I was hanging out with. It was back with all of them. He said, man, I'm telling you, he said, and I'm young, you know, I wasn't a part, I didn't know nothing about the original Nation of Islam. You know, I was young. He said, look, I was in the room with Farrakhan and all, and when Farrakhan was crying on with Wallace and saying, oh, Lord, you the Messiah and all this kind of thing. He said, but I'm telling you this, he said, the key is, he said the government feeds that system. He said, that whole shit now, the government feeds that system. And I was like, okay, I understand. You know, I didn't pay enough attention. But brother was telling me that back in like 88. That's when Farrakhan was hot. He said, I'm telling you. He said, you're going to see. He said, the government feeds that system. So that's very key at that particular time on what's going on at that particular time. Now, the white boy has now come back on the hard copy. The white boy now done put out a damn novel about O.J. And in the book, O.J. goes to somebody's house and tell him how he killed the cold and everything. And told him what's going on. It's a novel. I said, oh, man, these crackers here, man, won't stop at nothing. And the novel, he goes in and he tells all this new stuff about how everybody, and then they had him on Geraldo and a couple other people, and they're saying this was a genius book. But the guy took the court transcript, he took everything to a T, and he retakes the story, and it's all on this novel and all. I said, these crackers won't stop at nothing. Now, going back to a bit of prophecy, because the Hong Kong thing was based on, you know, the British got out of Hong Kong a couple of months ago. That whole thing was America called up and said, look, we got to apologize for slavery. We got to do a lot of things, and basically we understood why the campaign started in the 1st of 97, and the campaign started because this is the 100th-year birthday of Honorable Muhammad in October. Now, for whatever reason you might not believe in the man, that's why they gave him a congressional parade and all right, because out of all of Marcus Garvey, they X'd his thing quick. You know, he got it off and they X'd it. He had a big thing. He vowed to return. Noble Drew Ali never could get it off the blocks good enough that they killed him. They beat him in the jail. And after he got out, he died a few days after or whatever. But so they worked around the clock with this whole nation thing. But my point is, it's a 100-year birthday in October. So what it is they went through to Britain and told Britain, look, y'all got to get the hell out of Hong Kong. You see. And that's why they got up out of Hong Kong the other couple of months ago, because that's still that apology thing that's going down. You see what I'm saying? That apology thing that's going down. So it's very key that you understand that at this particular time. They now have gone, because of the Independence Day, they have now started with the actual These alien movies and stuff, they're going around the clock. So they got one each month now, within a period of each month. They usually just have one, like 1 or 2 during the summer. Now they got an alien coming out where they had the clone Sigourney Weaver this time to come back to play it. They got Lost in Space coming out, and they got about 4 or 5 of them. They got several of them coming out, so they got them around the clock now. They got them every month. They got all these space things going on, so that's the hot shit now. You see what I'm saying? That's going down right now. Very key on why they're doing that at this particular time. Also, with the movie Contact, you got to see the movie Contact.
Sure.
Because in the movie Contact, the whole key was that after they built the machine, she was gone for, what, 18 hours? But yet they said that she was only gone, what, 45 seconds or something like that? And she told them what it was, but they had 18 hours worth of footage on the camera that was blacked out. But they told her, this is the key on the white person. In the movie, she wanted to go to the other planet. They told her, oh, hell no, there'll be other times. But they said, oh, you can't come. And what they were saying was, you a white motherfucker, you can't come up this bitch. You can't come up here. They said there'll be other times, but it wasn't for her. Go back and see that particular part. You see what I'm saying? They said, no, you can't come up here. Very key. And that was one of the real keys to the movie, Contact. That they did all of that stuff and all, and she didn't get to go with them because she couldn't go because she was a doggone mutant. And no mutants is allowed on the earth, on the other realm. You see what I'm saying? So that's very key. All those first movies was released after the summer, or during the summer solstice. Now it's key because go back and check out the movie, the animated series, Heavy Metal. Came out in 1981. They got a lot of different scenes and all, but the last scene deal with that whole messianic Messiah thing, with the little girl and all that. So go back and check that movie out. You ever saw it?
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Yeah, I know. You got to get through it and all. You get through to the last part and all, but you know. But the key is the reason why they put out the Contact movie. See, the white people got certain things that they believe that will try to save them. That's why they don't mess with the white Jews. You see what I'm saying? Even when Prohibition came, the Jews said, fuck that, we ain't goddamn giving up no wine. It's okay, cool. Remember Prohibition? Jews said, oh, we ain't having that shit. And so, their sales went up 100% because everybody started drinking damn kosher wine. So it's a certain amount of people that they won't mess with. Now, the reason why they won't mess with the fake white Jew is because even though he's fake, they believe that somehow their destiny into survival is locked in with this Israel thing. That's why they get so brilliant that way. You see? They're crazy that way. So if they can put a belief in them that this can happen, then that's why, you know, they're always praising Israel.
That's right.
So now on the scientific thing, Carl Sagan was the #1 cracker for them. They say, wait a minute, maybe Carl Sagan, who has studied this stuff, maybe he can find a way to save us. So what happened was they was like real down and out when he died.
Yep.
You see. When he died. They put out the movie, they was making the movie to celebrate it, but it was real down and out when he died.
That's right.
You see, because every time they put faith in one of these crackers, like that Jew up in New York, that Lubavitch, he died.
Yep.
You see, Carl Sagan died. You see what I'm saying? And all. So they're looking for all this type of stuff that actually was saved in, and they look for these particular white people. But Carl Sagan was one of those particular people at that particular time that they was dealing with. Like I said, I don't know if I said the last time that that the whole Bosnia thing, and I said it yesterday, the whole Bosnia thing from 81 to 95 was based on ethnic cleansing, to clean out that last bit of black people that was in Russia at that particular time is one of the main things. So one of the keys is at this particular time is don't give up any blood, because they doing the duplicate thing, and they're going to use black people on these jobs, you see. So now if you're giving up blood or whatever type of thing, the spirit will protect you up to this particular time and you receive the information. Then if you go beyond that now, you can get messed up out here. So don't give up any blood at this particular time right now. And on the other hand, too, try to stay the least amount of contact from around the devil as you can. And also not just white people, but now we got a lot of strange black people as agents and shit like that and all. And right now, if you don't personally know them and stuff, ain't no conversation with them, whatever type thing, because the time has come, like in the movie Doom, he said the time has come when the devil is going to seek our lives and try to destroy us at every time now. That time has actually come at this particular time. But don't give no blood. Now, it's funny because the rap group called Jungle Brothers made a video about cloning. And they in their car, and next thing you know, they see they duplicate walk up to them and zap them and get in and take their place. You see what I'm saying? Now, I don't know whether it was for something spiritual to hit them and they made this, and then they went down to the cloning center and they showed them actually making these different clones. That's a reality now, based on the robot type thing that's actually going down. That's a real deal.
What movie was that?
That was a video, Jungle Brothers. But like I did
they
say,
just released it a couple of months ago.
Yeah, they did. But like I did say, the movie Handmaid's Tale. The actual footage in Handmaid's Tale where they got black people shipping them out to concentration camps is real footage. That means somewhere between 88, 89, did they ship a group of black people out somewhere. And some of these black people had on suits and stuff, so they even got some bourgeoisie mixed up in there. And they shipped them out someplace by army and took them somewhere, and they filmed the footage. We don't get the rest of the footage because, you know, you only deal with the news that you get, and if they don't come on the news, you won't know about it. It could happen next door.
That's the same time when they took Panama.
Right. So they took some black people by, you know, and you'll see it. That's real footage. So that's actual footage on them taking a small group of black people, or taking a group of black people to concentration camps, and that's real deal footage.
What's the name of the movie?
Handmaid's Tale. And it comes on during the credits. It's very, very key.
Sometimes they show it on the science fiction channel.
Huh?
On the science fiction channel.
They do sometimes, yes. See, so that's very key that you understand that at this particular time. So we are at a race at this particular time for the simple fact that they got these cloning centers, and that's what they're doing. That's the #1 war that's going on at this particular time, is they're duplicating black people by the thousands. That's amazing. That's, you know, some things is redundant, but that's the real deal when you want to lock into what the war is. And everybody around here, they're so advanced now, they're duplicating black people by the thousands. And we are at a race right now to try to get this cracker off the planet before he get to the elect, because there's a Bible prophecy in Revelation. So if anybody goes back to Revelation and find it, or somewhere in the Bible, the guy said Revelation, and find it, please call Delilah so she can get in touch with me and give it to me. But I know there's one in Revelation where they say that this devil is going to be moving so fast on the black people, or the children of Israel, which is us, that it's going to even threaten the elect. And that's the black conscience. That even the elect will become threatened.
If the righteous barely mingle, what about the ungodly?
Right. You see. So that part, some part of the Bible, I need to find that out now, because that's the point where we are at this particular time, right now, at this particular time. Now, it's interesting because we're going back to this. I'm going to just show you how the government works. First of all, we know that the government came on the TV, told people about Ebola, put out a movie, Outbreak, and 2 weeks later, it broke out in Africa.
Yeah.
Then he told us the story how it broke out in 1976, but then again, we didn't know about it, Ebola until now, which is bullshit. Now, it's interesting because I saw a movie from 1993 about AIDS, and they were talking about Ebola on it, talking about and the band played on. That's right. And they were talking about it and all. But I also saw a documentary in 1988 where they took one white homosexual government agent. He went and fucked everybody in San Francisco and gave all the faggots AIDS. Agent X. And you know, he was rolling them. He was killing them up there. And gave them all like that. Anyway, they even go back and dig up those old files in 88, because, you know, they'll give you stuff on the news, but they just don't say it. That's right. But 1 or 2 times. And they dug up that, but it's in that movie, and the band played on also, too. So very key also. Now, what they get ready to do is they get ready to throw everybody for a loop. about a month ago, in July, they came on Nightline and said that they got this patient. This patient right now is undergoing a cure for AIDS. That's what you got. So now they setting it up. You know, they got the cure. They had the cure since they invented the shit in 1969 or 1950 based on Delta Blair. But they said now that this guy is going, they said, they said, one thing that we're trying to do this time, more than any time, we're trying to find a cure. Well, I thought that was the shit you've been trying to do from the get-go, trying to find a cure. All the AIDS marches and stuff like that. But they were saying, you know, that they're getting ready. They were setting it up how they got this guy into this stuff day one. Said, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. They get ready to come out with this damn cure. You know what I'm saying? Now, the whole key is, number one, it's an apology. That's the first thing. They're apologizing for everything. That's why they had to announce it in 97. Number two, it's one of those type of things like Bill Cooper said. Once they make the cure, you're going to have to pay a heavy price to get the damn vaccine. Either money-wise or either with your soul. There's something going down. They ain't going to just give no shit out. They trying to depopulate the planet. You're going to have to pay for that. And basically, I think they're saying if you don't sign up for this or you don't do that, it's they're going to use it from some type of slavery thing. You see what I'm saying? Some type of slavery thing. Now, it's interesting because old Diana got married in 1981, but the official first case of AIDS that they diagnosed, as far as when they brought it out to the public, was 1981.
Right, that's right.
You see?
That's right.
So, there you see this whole thing that went down with this whole Diana thing. You see, it's all got a lot to do. She got married during the same time Bob Marley was getting buried, during the same week. Same time she was getting married and Mount St. Helens was erupting, and now she died. What's her name is erupting? Montserrat. All tied in. You see what I'm saying? All tied in. You see, so it's very key. Diana, based on the correspondent list of that, those deities also is a form of Isis, but she died in Paris, which is called City of Isis. So I'm saying there's a lot of shit going on, and we just getting early data on it, on this particular part. Other than, you know, they killed her like who was the sister that said that they didn't find no tongue? Cut the tongue out of the damn. Now wait a minute.
The guy that survived.
Now I seen mugs to get a whole. I seen people get almost killed, ain't got no neck. But the damn tongue and lip. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, because they said on one report, they said that here's how the report went. The report went like this here. When the driver comes to, he may not be able to say that because he only got a part of a tongue and his jaw is completely broke. That's how the report came on.
So,
right. He ain't going to be able to say nothing.
right.
So you know what the first thing came to my mind.
Right. Now let me show you what's going on here. If you watch TV, most TV is the idiot box that just programs food. But if you're conscious, you can watch it and you can read through the lines. Now, we know that they do human cloning. You know that they had on Discovery Channel, but they put it on the commercial. And they put it on doing, you know how sometimes they'll have a commercial going on, they'll be saying 4 and 5 different things at the same time? When they said the first human cloning, and they said something else, but everything that they talked about was stuff that they had already had. The only thing that they, and I said, now wait a minute, now why? A lot of the stuff that they said was stuff that they announced that they had already invented. But why is it the human cloning, which supposedly they don't have the announcement with all the other shit they do have? Then you understand on how they do the stuff and all, and they do the stuff subliminally to tell you that, hey, that's what's going on. But they put it on a commercial and nobody don't get it. Because everybody here is brainwashed and cattle. Very key. Also, that's what you got with, like in Atlanta. Whole population gay, male, and stuff. And I think a lot of that got a lot to do with the cloning thing also, too. You see what I'm saying? Because even with a gay thing and all, it ain't nothing to have one or two or whatever, but it's another thing to have where you got everybody. And then they just had a lesbian convention down there, black gay lesbian convention last weekend down in Atlanta.
And you know that many of them in the world.
Shit. Some of the baddest women you ever want to set eyes on up in that mug, too. You know what I'm saying? If I had a gun to bring them back, I'd be the king. You see. So I'm saying, obviously, there's something going down and all. There's something actually going down at this particular time and all. So now, and which leads me to this particular book, if you can get your hands on it. Mary Louise von Franz, The Golden Ass. Because what's happening in this particular book, did I give you this book?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mary Louise von Franz, The Golden Ass. I know Robert Graves has out one, but hers is dealing with the psychological aspects. And what it was talking about a Greek guy that at this particular time he was growing up in Greece. And I think it's got a lot to do with the sociology of this white boy. He was growing up in Greece, or he was either... To me, I think what it was is this. I think if you was to go back to ancient Greece, a lot of, it's just like any other culture. 65% was black people at the white point when white people came in and took over. Because if you go to some of these old Euro or what they call gyro stands, you'll see some Greeks with nappy-ass hair.
That's right.
Now, if they got nappy hair now in 1990, imagine how they looked 2,000 years ago.
That's right.
And Charles Spence said that when they studied Greece, they found out they had a heavy sickle cell culture.
That's right. That's right.
Which meant that it had to be a black.
That's right.
But you do have your white thing up in there. So I think this book is talking about one of these cats that he's black, but he's being affected by the white dominant culture that has come over to take over the government. So basically, he's borderline getting deciding whether he's gonna go homosexual or not. And so what happens is, in order to save him, he has to go into the mysteries of ISIS. And ISIS intercedes and send him back and balance his frequencies out where he don't have to do that shit. So in order to even go up in those mysteries and stuff, he had to be black in the first place. So this particular book is actually dealing with that particular science. This is merely of the golden ass of Apuleius, and the liberation of the divine feminine in man. So what happened was, in order to do it and all, you got to get to your feminine side. Each male and female got a masculine dominant side and all, and just so based on having too much of the male side and all, that's that manly man shit, like that damn Earl Flynn and Kirk Douglas and all the motherfuckers in Hollywood was big time faggots. Big time faggots. As a matter of fact, they did an article in Vogue magazine in 1987, and man, they had everybody up there. Earl Flynn, Kirk Douglas, John Wayne, Clark Gable, Tyrone Power, Rock Hudson. Well, you know him. That ain't nothing. Now, I'm not talking about regular admitted homosexuals. I'm talking about, this is different. I'm talking about the archetype of the damn home on the range cowboy. All them motherfuckers faggots. Jimmy Stewart, all them motherfuckers. And they go, they run hot and cold. Victor Mature, all of them. They run hot and cold like that. Where they go on a cold, they go on what's that?
That's the way how they challenge God. Once you understand the God's inside you, right, you got to rebel. You really got to go three towards diabolical. So they rebel against their own logic. In order to rebel against their logic, they got to do the unknown. That's telling God to go to hell.
Yeah, ain't that something? That's it. That's something.
That sound like Crowley.
Huh? Well, you know, Crowley, yeah, he did that crazy shit too.
Yes,
you know,
he did.
homosexual type things and all. But I think that is just basically a normal aspect of white culture. Period. You gotta have one of them interludes somewhere in your life and all. And every white woman will tell you that I got it on. They call it. See, they got some shit where you can be 100% heterosexual and have something called an experimentation clause. Where somewhere in your life you did an experimentation in your younger life or whatever type thing. So a lot of college girls, they'll go and screw up a bunch of women and then they'll leave it behind and they'll say, well, that was my experimentation. I was experimenting. You see what I'm saying?
The Jews do that to keep down the population of their men having extramarital and having children outside of their
Yeah, but see, that's just basically the culture period. Like the book Bisexuality in the Ancient World.
It's devil.
Which was not talking about, they didn't say homosexuality, it said bisexuality. Because the homosexuality, they figured, is a freak of nature. They figure bisexuality is normal. That's asexual. Bobby E. Wright talked about that before they killed him, who wrote Psychopaths and Racist White People, which means that the whole society and the race own up. So bisexuality in the ancient world, put out by Yale University in 1992, starts with Greece, Rome, and on up. And they say, it's in the word, it's science in the word. They didn't say homosexuality. They said bisexuality because they're saying that their race, period, is an asexual race. Mm-hmm. Which means that we'll screw anything if it's expedient to that shit. So we learned the prison shit that way from white people. And now it's government policy. That the government now, based on policy, means that so many black men have to get screwed when they go into prison. That's government policy.
That's right.
Period. You got to get screwed. So now the stuff is now not becoming survival of fittest. It's actually policy. Mm-hmm. The government says that when they go through there, the reason why they put them in there now is they got to break the manhood. Right. And so it's government policy. Take the weights away and shit. You see what I'm saying? You know, but it's government policy that you got to get screwed. It's now with the cloning shit, they can have it so everybody, because it was funny, I got a good friend who was a prison guard, and he said it was amazing. He said damn near he said the thing was not to ask who didn't get pumped up the butt. No, who was getting pumped up the butt. They was trying to find who didn't get pumped up the butt. Because it was so everybody, all the big manly men. That shit is so prevalent in the prison now, but it's a government structure. You see what I'm saying? It's a government structure. Now, I would still suggest that in the future everybody gets Zachariah Sitchin's Earth Chronicles. The Earth Chronicles was put out by Zachariah Sitchin. It's like 7 or 8 volumes, but you can get them now for the paperbacks, you know, for $4 or $5. So he has a lot of great information in those particular books. I say but every white person you got to have for read with a grain of salt. Now, one part about him was that he came out with the Earth Chronicles in the late 80s, late 70s and the 80s. Genesis Revisited, Wars Between God and Man, Stairway to Heaven, the 12th Planet, When Time Began, it's a bunch of them. You can get the whole Earth Chronicles, and it has those particular books. They're fairly cheap. But anyway, what happened was that he said that, and so Ramboni was going with this, you know, Imam Esau as well as a couple other people, that he said that the ancient black man, or the ancient people, period, the reason why we can't rise is because even though we got a pineal gland, we don't have the barotheric gland, which is supposed to be missing. The barotheric gland. The barotheric gland ain't nothing but the damn pineal gland. But what he's doing is he's writing for the white Jew. So when he says that we have problems rising or we're getting kept on this low level because we don't have the barotheric gland, when black people read this, they think it's talking about them. But he told Henry D. Bernardo, when they had a UFO conference here last November, that no, I'm interested in writing for my people, the white Jew. You see. So he talks about the barotheric gland being missing. That's not but the pineal gland, and that's just another damn word. Etheric just means astral or something on a spiritual level, so that's dealing with the pineal, pituitary, and all that type of stuff. So when he's saying this, he's talking about the white Jew. You see what I'm saying like that? It's very key. That he's dealing with that when you can't get messed up on what's going on. Take, for instance, in his book, The Stairway to Heaven, it's a part where the King Pepi, the Pharaoh, is dying or going to another realm. And in there they say that the King Pepi goes, and it's the only recorded text in the world where you got an actual person that's lived on earth, where the Egyptians were so bad that they could recall where that motherfucker went when he died. cover of one of those, where you got the King Pepe, where they got a chronology of where he dies and where he goes to the star system Sirius, which in the Holy Quran, this is the God that created both male and female for one and sex, a single ejaculated semen. He is the God of Sirius and the Surah of the star. So what he did was, he took Sirius out and put the imperishable stars with Pepe. Now he did that for a reason, because if he put Sirius in there, you can identify that with the Egyptian. And the Egyptian being black, you can, so therefore, when he's writing this particular information, he said the imperishable stars and all, because they're trying to somehow fit their way into this whole thing. But the Star of David is nothing but Sirius, which is all the whole Hebrew thing also too. You see. But they're not the original Jews. So now the key is, or the original Hebrew. So what the key is he seriously manipulates the text. You can get the Sirius thing, the one about Pepe going to the star Sirius. It's recorded in the Robert Temple's The Sirius Mystery. Also, it's recorded in both books, Osirian Resurrection, Volume 1 and 2 by Budge, where Pepe becomes an actual star. Becomes an actual star also too. Now, but Zechariah in Temple's book, Zechariah 15 says that his whole thing is that these so-called Hebrew people and this whole thing, we're waiting on the Nibiru, which, if you go and get Temple's book, he says it's Neb-Heru. And Neb-Heru is Horus, which is Egyptian. So Neb-Heru becomes Nibiru with Zechariah 15. And which is still nothing but another ancient name for us. We got so many damn ancient names. You see what I'm saying? But it's actually, and Neb-Heru means Lord the son of Sirius, or the Lord the son in Sirius and all. You see. So now, it's interesting, but I say get the actual 12th planet and get the books is because the guy Colin Wilson said that when Zechariah 15 came out, despite the black and white thing, he came out like Eric Van Daniken came out with the UFO thing. Then they laughed at him 10 years, so he came out with Van Daniken's proof. And then they made the book go away quietly. And just so they got a way of not making shit happen. They just don't say nothing about it. That's why the greatest book ever written was Gerald Massey, Ancient Egypt Light of the World, 1907, 2 volumes. But because he showed Egyptian everything that Horus did, and then he showed everything that Jesus did, and they parallel in the back of the book in the appendix, side by side, they said, well, we got to damn shut him out. And because he went in and told the truth and said all this shit was black, they got away by just making things be quiet. So with Sitchin, they just made his books look real, they made his stuff real quiet because he had so much scholarship in his books. So the government would be like, they won't tell the people about a lot of stuff like they put other stuff up. They won't tell the people about it because they don't want you to actually tap into it. So the books get a little old and say, oh, well, that's just some old metaphysical crazy shit. But that's one thing about him as far as the way he did his books. So now his whole thing is talking about the return of the 12th planet. And the return of the 12th planet, metaphysically, is the return of your third eye. That's the mystery to it. The third eye. You got 11 cosmic power zones. The 12th cosmic power zone is ushered in by Hale-Bopp, that comet that was going down. So Nibiru is Neb-Heru, which in actuality is the return of the third eye. Is the return of the third eye. So now you got to take everything and relate it to yourself. Hale-Bopp came from Sagittarius. More than a few people says that this is significant. I was stunned to be amazed that I generated Hale-Bopp's course going back to 1992. Zechariah 15 thinks that Hale-Bopp is the harbinger of the return of the 12th planet, as he calls it. He says that this planet returns after the part of the solar system every 36 legions and myths, every 3,600 years, and that's legend. Every 3,600 years has past form stories, legends, and myths brings from the sky. He says that this planet and Hale-Bopp are in the same orbit. Presumably the 12th planet is a few years behind. So whatever the deal is, whether you deal with that, it's talking about your third eye, which is this particular 12th planet is what it's talking about at this particular time. Zechariah 6 says that the Ancient One said that the 12th planet came from the region of the sky of Sagittarius and said that this year before the discovery, before the discovery of Hale-Bopp, used by computers in Hale-Bopp backwards the time of 1992, and it goes in to say this particular part. But he also goes in this particular part and says that I want to show you this particular part because there's a book I want you to get. Because they were talking about this Hale-Bopp, and he says this. He said there's a book out, and I thought the book was out of print, but it's a little novel out, and then he said no. That writer wrote a book, a best-selling novel called Lucifer's Hammer. It is about a comet that crashes, that causes major trouble for the Earth. In the book, it says 2 astronomers discover a comet at the same time. Hale-Bopp was discovered by 2 astronomers, Hale and Bopp, whatever their name is. And it says one of the factual astronomers is called Tim Hammer, and Tim Hammer. The other is Gavin Brown. The comet is named Hammer Brown, which is nicknamed HB for short. The same designation now given to Hale-Bopp. So now, we don't know, see, a lot of these books come out, and these people wrote, and I saw a book Thursday, a little old paperback book called Lucifer's Hammer, about this thing coming and hitting the Earth, and the Earth having all this trouble. Anyway, and it's ironic that they got all these shows now out about this comet media. Even the Christian stations talk about this media hitting the Earth. But anyway, the book was talking about, I said, damn, I need to get that book. But anyway, I found the book the other day. It's in print, Lucifer's Hammer, a little $4 book, a little $4 or $5 book, and all. But anyway, Zechariah 6 is talking about this, but about this particular part, which happened with Hale-Bopp and the 12th planet, but it's also dealing with actually dealing with the third eye. But one thing that Stitchin is was denied by the government and the scholarly community, that his books didn't receive a widespread imprint because he was as scholarly a person. He was such a scholarly person that the government couldn't make him out as a hoax. Now, Colin Wilson is talking about that in his new book called From Atlantis to the Sphinx. And it says, at the time that happened, which in this Colin Wilson book, he says that the Egyptians believed that the Duat, I said it the last time, was heaven, but it was called Heaven's Gate, which is the same as these 39 crackers killing themselves, waiting on Heaven's Gate. And he breaks that down, but the book was already out a year before. It was released after they killed themselves, but the book was already written 2 years before they actually killed themselves, about this Heaven's Gate type thing and all, these white people and all. And so there's the other white boys that they shut out like that, like this woman. I think it's a woman, Evalencia Sprint, Celestial Ship of the North. This particular book, in this particular book, they shut her out also, and we didn't even know that this book was even in print until I found this book in '93, after they banned this particular book in 1993. I found the actual book. But in here she says about the whole thing about Saturn and the bridge and everything. Well, it's a very good book, which I'll get into the Saturn thing later on when we go into some Egyptian high science in a few minutes and all this type of thing. 12th planet chakra is the lost dimension of this earth doorway of the brain called the Dwat of the Dwat of the Dwat. And as Zachariah Sitchin is talking about, everything has got to come with this particular 12th planet and what's been going on. He's waiting on this whole 12th planet. But anyway, I want you to get the book, The 12th Planet, and get all his Earth Chronicles. Because now it's very key, because in the book, Stairway to Heaven, you got all his books. And in the book he was saying that they got a picture up in there of this damn flywheel. Some shit that NASA drew in 1988, 78. They say this thing is an anti-gravity device. And somebody looked at it and said, well, shit, we got one of these in the museum over in Egypt. From Egypt, we got it somewhere in Germany or somewhere in Europe. The same damn